What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati. As always, I'm joined by the podcast dad. Guess he's under a learning tree today.
Always. Not just today. Always. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
You're very, very welcome. As always, welcome back, everybody, to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. So glad you could join us again on this Tuesday. We do have a guest that we cannot wait to bring into the chat here tonight. But real quick, we just want to go through a couple of things with you. First and foremost, make sure that you hit that QR code in the top left corner. Like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications, grow and help us grow this community. Join us. If you know at least one person that would enjoy this podcast, please share it with them and let them see what we are all about here at the Wrestling Junkies podcast. Make sure to support our merch store as well. We have hoodies that are very comfortable. We have mugs that are very nice to sip coffee out of. We've got tank tops, t-shirts, beanies, not hats yet. I'm thinking that we just never debut a hat because that would bring him too much joy.
Okay. Why don't you want me to be happy?
I'm kidding. I want you to be happy. I just am a horrible procrastinator. I apologize.
Very nice.
I know. You're right. I'm starting to show off a little chapped, and I shouldn't do that. I apologize, buddy. But I cannot help but notice the new American Nightmare shirt that you have here. I don't think I've seen you debut that one on the show just yet.
Oh, yes. I did get this shirt, and I did get it off of a website. Do you know which website I got that off of?
What website is that?
Well, you tell me, sir. Yeah, I know you frequent this website.
Yeah, well, I know that you do as well. Could it be from WWEshop.com?
It is, actually. And that's where I also got my heavyweight championship belt and where I get most of my awesome t-shirts. And now, what can our listeners, what can our followers, what can our viewers do?
Our followers, if you see this other QR code that's just come up, you can go. We are now the newest members of the WWE Shop affiliate program. You can use our QR code and pay a visit over to WWE Shop. Everything that we earn gets reinvested back into this podcast. It helps us to do the good work that we love to do. This is also how we are able to help support independent wrestling across the country. If you're wondering where we have the funds to be able to do all of the sponsorships that we do, this is a big part in how we make that happen. So if you're wanting the Wrestling Junkies to continue to support independent wrestling, and you're seeing what we are doing, please support us by going to the WWE Shop using our affiliate link, which you can find on that QR code there as well. Last but not least, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're up to 256 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year at the Wrestling Junkies podcast. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. We are live every weeknight, minus Friday. I have a life. I'm kidding.
Oh, man, another barb. Like, all right, we're done with your plugs. Let's get to the fun
stuff. We're not done yet. I promise we are almost done, though. Just one more. Once again, if you guys did not see yesterday's show, we are sponsoring ETU Summer Madness 2, July 27th at the Mecca, Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, a fantastic venue. Thank you to ETU for allowing us to be a part of this once again. We are hoping closer to the show that we'll be able to get some talent on to join us and talk about the event. No matches have been announced just yet, I don't think, but can't wait to see when that takes place. Now, I think that is everything that we've got to talk about here. What?
Tired of hearing you talk. Let's go.
Whatever. Love you too. We do have a guest tonight. We're so excited to have this gentleman joining us. So he ranked number 59 on the 2022 QWI Index. He is the head trainer of perhaps the most inclusive wrestling school in all of the industry. Please welcome the King of Chaos, Logan Black. Logan, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, man?
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm super stoked to do this. I've been really stoked about it.
Awesome. So have we. It's Pride Month, and we're looking to celebrate, and we're just so glad that we came across your school and everything that you guys are doing to make wrestling an inclusive and safe space for everybody that wants to join this business. So let's get right on into it. Before we kind of talk about all things T2T, tell us a little bit about you and your earliest memories of pro wrestling.
Oh man, my earliest memories of pro wrestling, we're going way back. My grandfather remarried 3 times, so I have 7 uncles, all wrestling fans.
Wow.
So yeah, I was kind of inundated with a lot of that stuff. I was cheering on Ultimate Warrior at like 3-4 years old when my uncles were telling me that he sucked and Ric Flair was the true world champion. So it was that kind of thing. So I always had wrestling in my life, going to events as a kid. So there's honestly, if I can't even pinpoint like my earliest memory because it's just nothing but wrestling memories.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty damn cool.
All right, Eric, be quiet. So my lovely host put in the notes that he was told by one of the commentators that you do a great Johnny Rodz impression. I'm not gonna let you leave. I'm not gonna let you leave until we get this.
So here's the thing. I'll preface it with this. I think that anybody who has been trained by Johnny or has like met Johnny and spent significant time with him, everybody has a Johnny impression. To the point where I have students who like have gone down to like Alabama and work down there, and they're like, "Yo, people do the Johnny voice in Alabama," and I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" Like, no, it has traveled because that's just what it is. So, trying to think of like a Johnnyism. Jeez. Trying to think of a Johnnyism where he isn't burying somebody, which is hard because that's kind of how Johnny exists. Doing like, oh, you get in the ring, you walk out, and you do your thing, and you're the real McCoy. You don't play that Mickey Mouse. You don't play that nonsense. Go ahead, get your workout in, Wobblehead. Hey, that's my Johnny.
Hell yeah. Very well done. I like it. So let's fast forward a little bit. T2T, what inspired the start of this wrestling school?
Well, to be fair, like I had trained people at other places for a long time, and it was always, somebody else's kind of vision for a school. And for the longest time, I just didn't agree with it. I don't think that we're not in the 60s and 70s and 80s where like it's not a territory system. It's not like the mafia. We don't have to do these like little handshakes to like, oh, you're in the inside club. It's like that's as if you step away, take one step out of wrestling for a moment, and you look in at all the nonsense that like all of us in the business do. A lot of it is really stupid, including and not necessarily that, but the biggest thing is the bullying. The all the stuff that like you hear about, or just all the negatives and all the dark side of the ring stuff that you read, like that's all legit, and that all like still exists within wrestling. And everywhere that I went and everywhere that I was training had a lot of that, and I hated it. And I kind of took a big step away from wrestling and swore like I was like hands off on stuff. A friend of mine who had very loosely been involved in wrestling by the name of Tom Frazier come to me and was like, "Hey, I'm looking to open a wrestling school. I want you to be the head trainer." And I was kind of iffy about it. And then, as with all things that I do, I take, one tiny little step in, and, you end up falling in love with the whole, everything that kind of comes across over there. And like, you meet people and you see how passionate and how stoked they are to do things. And, I didn't say, I think the important thing that I want to say above all else, because, yes, T2T is now widely considered to be like an incredibly inclusive environment and very LGBTQ friendly. But that, like, we didn't start going like, yeah, we're going to be this inclusive environment. It was literally just myself. At the time, the other two trainers were Brother Greatness and MV Young. MV Young now runs T2T Pittsburgh. And all of us were just kind of like, our attitudes are super chill and super open, and we're all very inclusive people. So for us, it was just like, yeah, that's just the way that it's going to go. And everybody's going to get to be themselves. And we're going to torture you with cardio. We're going to torture you with working hard, and we're going to make you sweat a puddle into this ring. But we're not going to torture you and bully you because, you happen to be queer, or you happen to be, a person of color, like, which is, again, from where I came from, was the norm. If you were not fitting, what people were interested in, or the standard over there, you were bullied. I'm just like, why do we need any of that? So eventually, the school morphed itself into this super inclusive environment, and now, honestly, like it's part of our brand and part of what we are, and I couldn't be happier with that.
So you're saying the academy evolved over time. What would you say that the mission and the vision is now for the school?
Well, I mean, I think the mission and the vision never changed. I just think that at this point, when you are creating a place that is so inclusive and respectful of other people, And literally, when people join their first day, I ask people, okay, introduce yourself to the class. Tell us your name, your pronouns, and your favorite wrestler. And it's one of those things where there's a lot of people like, I've never been asked my pronouns. And I'm like, well, I just did. Go for it. And you kind of fall in with like, oh, this space is like trying to make everybody feel cool and comfortable. And everybody wants to see each other succeed. So I think the mission statement has always been creating a positive learning environment that fosters growth and fosters everybody who joins up to be the best that they can be within their own skin. Like they don't have to be anything besides who they are, which again, I think is something that is super important because I've seen a lot of wrestling schools kind of morph people into what they think it should be. And it's like, man, let people be themselves and then, you know, the rest shall follow.
Yeah. For sure. So what's the recruitment and selection process look like, not just for aspiring wrestlers, but trainers, just so that you can continue this mission and to support this vision of inclusivity?
In terms of if I was to bring other people in to work and do things as a co-trainer type thing?
Correct, yes.
So I've been super lucky that the company that I keep in wrestling are all, you know, sharing the same kind of thought process I have. Like I said, Brother Greatness and MV Young started with me. Those two are just awesome, accepting, just great people. Big Game Leroy was another co-trainer for a while that we had. And again, Leroy is the same, where it's like everybody, as long as you're putting in the work, you're great. And at this point, the T2T school of the trainers are myself, CPA, who you guys might know from Wrestling Open, and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams from Ring of Honor. And the three of us, again, it's the same idea of I am going to push you. I am going to push you to your limit. I might even make you hate me with how hard I'm going to push you to work, but I'm never going to bully you. I'm going to make sure that you understand that you are empowered within the space that we have, and you are respected as a human being. Like you're not just a piece of meat that I could push around because you pay me whatever amount of money per month. Like I'm not going to abuse you. You're going to feel empowered in this space. You're going to feel empowered to learn. It's going to be positive, but I'm going to push the hell out of you. And literally anybody that I bring along has that viewpoint on things.
What challenges have you faced kind of establishing this all-inclusive academy?
I think the biggest challenge is kind of finding people who, I mean, I don't want to say that they're like, I don't want to consider these people to be like bad people because I think that's like, it's a little goofy, but like people who come in and like, we had, and it's so funny because one of my longtime students who've been there forever, Delightful Dan, the Candyman. If anybody here has not checked out Delightful Dan, brilliant wrestler, had made a point that there was a student early on who had stepped away from the school and hasn't come back, and he was like, oh, you know, I have to step away because I can't bring my friends to the shows, or I can't bring them to like anything that we do because, you know, they some of the language they use is not going to be accepted. And it's like, okay, I don't need you. Like if you are going to bring people around here, they're going to make my students feel uncomfortable. I don't need any of that. And I think that's been the biggest challenge. When there have been challenges, are usually people who kind of don't understand what that culture is. And it's all like, again, if you want to do that, if you want those to be your friends, if you kind of operate your life that way, that's your business. I am not here to say like you cannot, you know, use language that would piss off half of my students. But I'm also going to protect my space, and I'm going to protect my crew, and everybody in there is going to feel, you know, empowered in that space to be themselves without ridicule, without any type of slurs, without anything. Whenever we run any events at all within our space, no matter what it is, there's, I guess, a warning. That's not really a warning. Sounds dangerous. There's like the announcer will just mention, you know, T2T is a safe space. We don't handle any type of homophobia, transphobia, bigotry, racism, sexism of any kind. If anybody is giving you that, let us know and we will remove them. It's a one-strike deal with us. And the same goes for my students. It is a one-strike deal. If the place is not for you, there's plenty of other wrestling schools that will allow you to use, you know, slurs if that's what you feel is correct. But I'm not going to let that happen.
Here. We are. It is June, so we are in the middle of Pride Month.
Heck yeah.
And I believe it's on your Twitter bio, number 59 in the 2022 Queer Wrestling Index. So I just want to ask you, as somebody that has had the honor of making that list, tell us a little bit about the importance of representation and visibility for queer wrestlers in this industry, especially in 2024.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I think really it's all about that representation. And again, it's why I am so dead set on creating a space for these wrestlers to flourish, because all it takes is one person. And I see this from shows that we've run and other shows that I've been on, where like all it takes is one person who is just themselves, and themselves just happen to be visibly queer. And there's then someone in the crowd going, "That's my person. That person is making me feel this certain way." And I can't tell you the amount of people that we've had join up with the school simply just from seeing that, like, and Angelo Carter is out there just being himself at all times. Kwesi Asante, Sazzy Boatwright, all these students who've literally been all over the place at this point are getting out there and just being themselves. And it's like, oh man, I can connect with that, because all this other stuff is great, but it's just not connecting with me. But these people, I see myself in them. I think that wrestling should be both a mirror and a window. Like a window in terms of you're seeing out, you're seeing something different, but a mirror, you should be able to see yourself in what you do in some way. So I think that representation is so important, because it just draws more people into wrestling. It's a business, right? How many times in the wrestling business? I should be trying to get everybody to come to a show.
Yep.
So why not?
Yeah. So you've talked about it a little bit, but you're gonna cardio me to death when I get there. What does the curriculum look like, and how does it differ from other schools?
To be fair, I don't know how much it differs from other schools, in that I'm a stickler for cardio. I'm a stickler for learning the basics. I'm a stickler for learning footwork. My students are just, it really gets drilled all like the real simple, basic things. And then my motto when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I think this might be where we differ from other schools, or at least other schools that I have seen from time to time. I know there are also great schools out there that let people do their own thing, but my motto, and I stole it from Picasso, is learn the rules like a professional so that you could break them like an artist. So learn the footwork, learn the most basic way to throw an arm drag, learn this way, and then break all those rules and draw a ton of money and, gold plate your pool in 20 years.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Ask MC Hammer.
There you go.
So last but not least, as we kind of wrap this up, what are your goals, your long-term goals for T2T? What's the impact that you hope to have on the world of wrestling going forward?
I think they're one and the same kind of an answer. I think that my goal is just to continue having a space for everybody. It's not just, the LGBTQ community. It's not just people of color. It's literally anybody who wants to put in the work and wants to go about things in a positive and ethical way. I think ethics is really, one of the biggest things that
Sure.
I like to push is like, hey, you don't need to step on somebody's neck in order to get ahead. You can do this the right way. There is enough food at this table for all of us. It's a competitive business. It's Hollywood. It's all these things. But like, man, you don't got to sit there and like be playing all these games and playing politics. Let your talent take you to the top. So I think my goal is to create positivity within the four walls of the T2T building, have it kind of overflow. And then once these kids start working all over the country, which some of them are, they start working there, they're spreading that positivity. And now maybe that, that person who's using like a homophobic slur in a locker room, maybe it's like, hey, don't do that. And now there's someone else who goes, yeah, I agree. And now we spread that positivity. Or like, hey, you don't got to bully that kid because he screwed up a spot. The crowd doesn't know that. Yeah, I agree. And now is all this positivity that we're spreading just because that's how we show up. That's my biggest long-term goal for T2T.
All right,
Fantastic.
Last question from me, because Eric wanted to, try to get his last question in. But last question that I have, and this is for every guest, so
Yeah, okay.
Everyone that comes on this show gets this question. It's going to be the hardest
question. It has been a while since you've been a part of this, so yeah.
Probably all year. Shut your mouth, Eric. It's going to be the hardest question you get all year. When you think Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels or The Undertaker? Boom.
Shawn Michaels.
Ugh.
As you see how quickly I went with
Don't
that.
ask Shawn Michaels that you're not prepared for the answer for, bud.
Again, if it wasn't for the streak, we wouldn't even be talking about Undertaker at WrestleMania, because Undertaker, Giant Gonzalez, Nathan Jones. That's what I think of when I hear Undertaker at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels is Shawn Michaels.
Man.
Well said.
We will have you back on the show, and I will debate every Taker match. And I hope you're ready. Buckle up.
I think
I am always ready for it. Always ready for it.
Love it. Well, Logan, thank you so much for joining us. Real quick before we get out of here, I did come across this on Twitter. It looks like you have a match that's dropping on YouTube tomorrow. Looks like we've got friend of the show, Brian Baum. Let me get rid of this graphic here. I apologize. Angela Carter, Delightful Dan, STO, Brian Baum, Brianna Bands, Nikki Winters, Day Bands, Jay Karma. It looks like this is a match you guys are debuting on the channel. Is there anything you can tell us about this and what fans can expect?
Yeah, so real quick, I'm just going to say every single Tuesday on the T2T YouTube account, we have T2 Tuesdays, and we drop a match either from studio tapings that we do or student shows. And honestly, this is the first chance you're going to get to see a lot of the future of wrestling. A lot of these matches are somebody's within their first 5 matches. But, these kids are putting in so much work. That's a real fun one if you check that one out. It's pure chaos, an 8-person 4-on-4 lucha rules, just go absolutely insane. And again, look through the other stuff that we have on there. Like and subscribe. I know that I'm taking your guys' thunder on the like and subscribe stuff, but you did it so well, so I have to repeat it. So hop on the YouTube account, like and subscribe on that. Follow us on the social media. We're just trying to grow in a positive way and really just bring everybody in. We're about community building.
Love it. Well, Logan, thank you so much for joining us. Cannot wait to see what the future holds for you guys. Don't be a stranger. We definitely hope to have you back on soon.
Excellent, man. You let me know. I'm totally down to make it happen. And thank you guys again for having me on.
Consider it done. Enjoy the rest of your night. Safe travels.
Thank you, Logan.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks. Great interview. And if you're out there and watching and want to join our show, hit us up at JunkiesPod on Twitter. We would love to have guests. It's just always fun to have these interactions and see what's going on in the world of professional wrestling and all the positivity. There's been a lot of negativity that's come up as of late, and certainly some things last night on Monday Night Raw that may have divided some people. Let's get right on into it. First things first, we got to shout out this guy. We're not going to answer the question just yet, but Lil Fat Cheating 68, he did ask us last night whether we thought that this Wyatt 6 segment would be either at the beginning or the end of the show. We guessed somewhere in the middle and a much more targeted attack. Boy, were we wrong. So shout outs to you, and we'll certainly be talking Drew McIntyre in a little bit, but let's talk about what everybody's talking about, dude. Uncle Howdy has returned. Nikki Cross has returned. Eric Redbeard is here. Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy. Wow.
Eric Rowan to you, sir. How dare you? Yeah, no, that was crazy. That's the only word I can describe it. That was insane. I watched it. You sent me something today where it said the victims of the massacre.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched it a bunch, just trying to find out all those people. I think I saw Gunther,
or at least somebody that looks like him.
Yeah, I think I saw him. I definitely saw Braun Strowman.
Yes, we definitely saw Chad Gable. And it's funny too. All the people online now going back through the QR codes. It was pretty obvious he was going after Chad Gable. It was, yeah. He used to say thank you, and they had the CG and just a couple of This was magnificent, executed to perfection. Outside of the wide angle shot of the crowd when the lights are starting to go out, once they hit that door, a single shot for that entire 4 or 5 minutes that it was. And it was really one cool. Shot, one take, nailed it to perfection. There's so many things that can go wrong in that sort of, especially when you're doing that camera blocking. But Man, I am thrilled with what they did. I did watch a What Culture video this morning. I think it was Michael Sidgwick that wasn't too keen on it, just because it was a little macabre. I mean, it did essentially depict people that were deceased. At least that's certainly the perception that you can get if you're just watching this and you've never watched wrestling before. There was no real selling of injuries. It's just everybody is just unconscious. But I don't know. I'm still in the minority or the majority of this. I was a huge fan of the segment.
In the moment, it was awesome. Being, devil's advocate here, I don't know how they follow this up.
Sure.
But I'm gonna watch. Like I want to know what happens next, and I think that's the goal of what they did. It's going to be interesting to see what they do next, because
for sure,
I don't know how you follow this up. We're going to find out. It should be a lot of fun. I think it was an awesome tribute to Bray. Just overall, it was really
cool. A lot of them were wearing the gloves, and it just I mean, the lantern.
The thing I'm hoping for the most is they don't wrestle as the characters.
Okay.
Because I saw a couple of them tweet out. Nikki Cross tweeted out, "Have you met my new family?" Joe Gacy tweeted out. I don't think Dexter Lumis has a Twitter, so he didn't tweet, but Eric Rowan tweeted as well. So I'm hoping, they don't wrestle in the gimmicks, if that makes sense. I'm hoping that they come out and do the whole thing, but I'm hoping I'm not seeing a guy in a pig mask wrestle. I'm hoping I still see Joe Gacy wrestle. I think that would kind of cure a little bit of the hokiness, for sure.
Sure.
I don't want to see that. That's kind of my only hang up right now is I don't want to see, and it's not the same, but I don't want to see like a retribution. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, these are questions we need answers to. And there have been so many takes on this. And I mean, again, they're going to be pretty divisive because, I mean, when we look at how kind of this supernatural Bray Wyatt universe has been booked, it started off really, really well and then fell off a cliff. If we're looking at, everything that related to the Fiend, you need to protect this group to some degree, not necessarily make them invincible, but maybe make it to where they're not wrestling as frequently. Howdy doesn't necessarily need to be in the ring every week or anything like that. I mean, they can still continue to do these QR and cryptic campaigns so that their presence is still involved on the show without them necessarily having to wrestle. So you're not overexposing them. Dexter Lumis, it was a guy they tried to do a lot with, kind of upon the initial return. That storyline with The Miz got a little weird. Joe Gacy has already been off the rails for the better part of the last 6 months or so already. I'd like to see them continuing that with him because it fits with this character. Same thing with Nikki. I think there are ways to kind of, balance both worlds here, but I think it's more of, I think at least for me anyway, if I got the pencil, I just make their matches more special because they're not in them as often, as opposed to the complete invincibility that they tried with Bray Wyatt that killed that character.
And it just didn't work. Yeah, I can see why it divided. It was really cool in the moment. Again, I thought, and I've watched it a couple times. It was really cool, like you said, just the movie aspect of it, the camera work of it, everything about it was really, really cool. I want to see the follow up. That's where I'm at. Is what's next. We just saw a bunch of people, kind of like you said, dead.
Let's say,
lack of a better term,
like they said in 2007 when a certain limousine exploded, presumed dead.
Okay, I want to see what's next. Like, obviously, Chad Gable's the target, and I don't know if that's what I wanted for this group. I don't know if that's what I want for Chad Gable.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna let it play out because I think Triple H has earned enough goodwill so far to let me be patient with what story he's going to tell me. Like overall, last night was awesome, but like this story, I will let it play out a little bit because this is kind of his first, creepy supernatural story.
And this is the first time doing it again, this is the Bray Wyatt universe, and they're doing this without Bray Wyatt. So there does have to be some delicacy that comes with it. But I overall, I'm optimistic as to what they can do with this group. Again, as far as part of the follow up, all eyes are going to be on Chad Gable next week and whether he shows up. He was announced for a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank briefcase, which I would like to point out. I suggested yesterday that he could find himself in that match, but several hours later, turn of events. But I mean, I don't know if we can see him immediately next week. I mean, another question is, I mean, you saw this at the beginning of the show, seeing kind of the signature messed with and the production stuff kind of going all wonky. Is Corey Graves going to address that on SmackDown this week? Or are we going to pretend that something like this, like a just mass assault, did not happen on WWE staff and producers and talent?
Are we going to see it on SmackDown?
Yeah.
Like, is Uncle Howdy going to show up on SmackDown? I don't know. He wasn't drafted.
Yeah. I mean, again, we did see that CG that on the screen there. I mean, there is another CG on SmackDown that Nikki Cross could go after.
Yeah, there is.
There
definitely is. And speaking of the QR code, if you want to go get a Uncle Howdy T-shirt that they just dropped,
absolutely,
the Wyatt 6.
Yes, and
just dropped.
I like that they're calling it SICKS because when I saw 5 people last night, my immediate thought was, okay, it's only 5. Is there one more that's going to enter the fold? And if so, who would that even be potentially?
I think we all know who that would be. Somebody that has history with Nikki Cross and Bray Wyatt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we haven't seen her in a very long time. Like, you want to talk about building a tag team division, there's a tag team right there.
Yeah. And you know that Alexa will go all in on this gimmick, much like Nikki Cross has. I mean, that's a unit that you can keep together for a while, and we're not going to have kind of the hokey Alexi, this isn't you sort of thing that was going towards the split of that team. So
just don't bring Lily back.
No, that's a relic of another era.
Hopefully that's done. I miss Alexa Bliss.
Me too.
She was very good. Like, if you go back and watch, like, what was that, kind of 2016, 17 era? Like, she was awesome. And she lost the title and then kind of went to this Bray Wyatt thing, and then just she had that real quick return at Chamber. You remember that? And it didn't really lead to much. And it just, I don't know what happened. And who knows? Maybe Bray Wyatt's passing. They had something going on long term with that. I don't know. I think Alexa Bliss on TV back on TV is something that would be best for business, as Triple H once would say.
Could not agree more. Speaking of returns to television, Monday Night Raw kicked off with a bang when Seth Rollins made his return after being away for 2 months, torn meniscus surgery. I mean, crazy. Corpus Christi got spoiled last night.
It did.
I was, I'm low-key pretty jealous.
It was awesome that they kept it a secret.
Yeah.
They're WWE's doing very good at that. Like, keeping a lot of things secret over the last couple of months. And is that the Triple H regime? Like, is that an edict that they have? Is that, hey, we got rid of the people that talk to the dirt sheets? We want to make this as fun as possible. Here's, like, are they telling not as many people anymore? Like that's something I've noticed so far in the new era is we're getting a lot more surprises, and they're actually surprises.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Jordan Grace,
Ethan
Seth
Page,
Rollins, Ethan Page. Yeah, I mean, it is fun for the it's wrestling is fun again because even though it's our job to kind of talk about what might be coming next as far as stories. These surprises are nice. I don't need to know everything about everything going on in wrestling. I like to speculate, and then when they're able to, give me a little swerve, I'm a fan of it,
bro.
No,
Seth Rollins.
I'm probably going to add that name to the list.
I didn't say his name.
I know
Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, Money in the Bank. How do we feel?
This is fine because I mean, Seth Rollins adds an immediate boost to the main event scene. When Rollins is healthy and good to go, it's at least nice to have him in the mix. This also creates that additional confusion of, we know Gunther's going to be at SummerSlam. Who's he going to face? I mean, that could be anybody. And the fact that, it could be Damian Priest, it could be Seth Rollins. Both of those would be great matches, I think, regardless of who it is. But it does create that additional intrigue, and we're not necessarily, twiddling our thumbs for the next 40 some odd days until this match eventually happens. Seth Rollins, because of what he did with that title, you have to think, or at least wonder anyway, what would have happened had he not been hurt as far as the meniscus goes. Would he be world champion right now? Would Damian Priest's cash-in would have been successful? Would it have just expired like you wanted to see happen? I mean, that's a lot of what we're seeing with these injuries, and this quick return certainly helps us to try to get back on track with whatever they may have had planned.
It's exciting. I hope Damian Priest wins. That's just me.
He's been working his ass off.
I'd rather not have like a 30-day run for Seth Rollins with the title. I don't want to play hot potato as much.
Sure.
Because I think we all think Gunther's going to win at SummerSlam, as he should.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think for me, I don't, and who knows? I mean, at least right now, and I mean, this could happen down the line, but I don't necessarily want to see Gunther lose matches if he's a challenger.
No.
That's just not how he should be booked.
Lose matches at all.
I mean, obviously, but like, again, he's only been beaten by 3 people, and I think it's only been 30 or 40 days of his entire WWE run that he hasn't been a champion. So,
correct. Braun Breaker looks like he's in the Intercontinental Championship scene.
He is the next Intercontinental Champion. That spear on Ludwig Kaiser.
Maybe.
I think he is, man. I think that's the way to do it.
He might be the next Money in the Bank.
He could be that too. I mean, the Miz has has the precedent of being a mid-card champion and holding that briefcase. I'm fine with that on Braun.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for that guy. He's
really is.
What else? Otis finally
stood up for himself. Alpha Academy walked out on him. Hopefully they're not going to feel bad about that next week, given what we saw happen to Chad Gable later in the night.
How do we know that wasn't Otis? I saw that. Like,
damn, Otis, beef sandwich to eat or something? No, don't do that. Don't do that.
What?
Sorry, I'm hungry and I'm craving Arby's.
Oh, disgusting. Gross. Then Liv Morgan had a I think a really fun segment with Dominic Mysterio and the Best.
Yeah, Dom is wild in these days.
I like that Priest called him and going like,
yes.
what's going on, and kind of stood up to her. And I like Pat McAfee breaking down Finn stealing the hotel card.
That's pretty funny. Yes, yeah.
A lot of like this storyline is interesting. I want to. Who's her next challenger though?
That is a good point. We do not have one just yet. We did see some women's tag team action, which was good. I did say we wanted to see at least somebody have a women's tag match just to start seeing some energy and enthusiasm for those titles now that they're on an established non-singles tag team, Mm-hmm. So yeah, good start. I like this storyline because I think that WWE is trying to get some idea of how they want to present Monday Night Raw in a Netflix era where those content ratings don't necessarily dictate what they put on TV.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a game changer because they're not going to have to go by ratings anymore. They're just going to do what they want. Last thing we had was Jey Uso qualifying for Money in the Bank and Io Sky qualifying for Money in the Bank. I think good first two.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. But let's talk a little bit about this larger subject just because this is something that Lil Fettuccine wanted us to get into. Drew McIntyre did walk out on Raw last night, said that he quit. Camera followed him backstage, and he walked out on Triple H, called him Paul. Deactivated all of his socials. So Drew showed up on SmackDown. Did he really quit? Rumors he's going to AEW. I don't think that's any rumor that's getting really any traction. I think he's re-signed with the company. They're not putting the title on him even for 5 minutes if he hadn't re-signed. That's just they've
wouldn't have been
learned
in the
that
main
lesson the
event.
hard way.
Yeah.
No.
Showing up
but
to
I also
SmackDown's interesting because it is in Chicago, and Punk's going to be on it.
That is true. That definitely is true. I'm still gonna lean no on this one. If you're gonna, because this was what I didn't care for about the early. Yeah, I mean Jey Uso sort of. I quit SmackDown. He ends up on Raw. Kind of Cody shoehorning him back in. Drew said he quit WWE. So we are in an era where those camera angles and things that are said mean a lot more than they used to. So I'm gonna lean no on this one. We'll see what happens, but I do like this because even though he has walked out in WWE, he can still show up at TNA. I mean, at least as a one-off.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have a partnership, this says that he can go. I mean, come on, Drew McIntyre versus Moose.
Seen it.
I know. I'm just saying. I wouldn't mind seeing it
coming
again
in Claymore
in
Joe
2024.
Hendry after all the good words he said about him.
I believe. Sorry.
That'd be great. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It makes me want to watch SmackDown. So good job on them.
Sure.
Speaking of must watch, I think NXT is much watched tonight.
Yeah. As we wrap up here, take us through that rundown of what we've got so far.
Dude, the number one contenders battle royal with who knows who's going to be in it.
And this is also kicking off the show. That's by design. I mean,
Again,
that's
who
something nuts is going to
this?
happen. Yeah.
Like, I feel like something's going to happen, right?
Has to. Because
something's going to happen.
Like the
Drew show up here. He didn't quit NXT.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, maybe.
Oh, I know.
I think all possibilities are open right now.
I don't. Just for me anyway, I don't think anything that is under the WWE umbrella is any, because again, when Jey Uso quit, he said, "I quit SmackDown."
Mm-hmm.
Drew McIntyre said, "I quit WWE."
Yep.
He activated all his shit.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out.
I like the enthusiasm. What else do we have on tap for tonight?
Kalani Jordan will take on Mia Yim.
Defending
First time defense.
Love
of
it.
The new North American Championship.
Can't wait to see him cook.
We have, looks like, as I pull it up right here, Roxanne and Lola Vice take on Lash Legend and Jakara, JC Jane, and I don't know her name, the other one. But I cannot remember, for the life of me, I can't remember her name.
I always forget. I feel bad about that.
I do too.
Get bad. Yeah.
I will.
Somebody didn't watch NXT Level Up.
I will watch.
Izzy Dame.
Yes. No.
There we go. Damn it.
No. Jasmine Nix.
Oh, yeah. I was way off. Yeah.
And then Obafemi speaks. So I think we're going to find out who Obafemi's next challenger is going to be. I'm hoping it's Moose. Because
don't you tease me.
Slapping meat. That'd be fun.
Me too. Anyway.
Jesus.
So, what? I mean, come on. If you're just going to softball in there. Any final thoughts on Monday Night Raw, what we might see this week? I'm
excited for NXT. I really am. I'm very, very excited to see who shows up in this Battle Royal. I'm hoping I'm not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping my hopes aren't too high, but I'm very excited to see who kind of shows up. Like, how's this going to be laid out? Like, is it a Battle Royal? Is it a kind of Royal Rumble style? Like, what is this going to look like?
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see what they're going to pull off, because Twitter, I don't know if you've been on Twitter today.
I have, yeah.
It's all the people from Fightful, the insiders, they're kind of buzzing a little bit that we're going to be excited to see what's going to happen. So,
yeah, I mean, and I tweeted out. I'm going to see if I can find the results of this poll real quick. But I did post a poll this morning to ask if this is, in people's opinions, the best Raw of 2024. Overwhelming yes at this point right now. I mean, if they deliver another solid, I think it was. I mean, when you look at, we had the Wyatt 6 debut. We got an early Seth Rollins return 2 months ahead of schedule that they kept under wraps completely. The Drew McIntyre walking out. Otis finally stood up to Chad Gable. The antics with Dom and Liv providing a little bit of comedic relief and in the sexual tension there between the two of them. There was a lot that gave 1998 energy about this show. And
my vote's still this one, where the final boss came in and we bloodied the hell out of Cody Rhodes. And that was the craziest thing we've seen in a very long. You want to talk about 1998?
I know that was, but you're saying that was better than that single camera shot we saw. Again, a bunch of unconscious staff wrestlers, like literally the gorilla was destroyed.
Dude, The Rock just sitting there cursing and beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes was amazing. And you and I both were buzzing for weeks.
I know. I don't know
how much I'm going to be buzzing after the follow-up. That was amazing.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, hear me out here, because I personally, I think this was the best Raw of 2024.
Okay.
I think that realistically, because of everything we've been told to buzz about tonight, Punk is on SmackDown this Friday, which, Kyle, by the way, if you're watching, you know you're going to get tickets. Just buy them and stop teasing us already. And then the fact that there is that uncertainty of whether Drew McIntyre will show up. You know, the same thing that we're talking about here. This has all of the makings for the greatest week at WWE television in 2024 right now. That's just my thought.
I'm trying to see if I can go back and look and see what was on that card. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I'm not saying it wasn't a good episode. It was a great episode. But
yeah.
For me, just The Rock in the rain, just full final boss mode was fantastic.
I will say that was a damn nice touch. And we're gonna have to have this discussion as we work on our end of year awards, which we'll have more information about that coming soon. But I think that is going to do it for us tonight. Podcast Dad, always great to see you. I know I was a little chapped to start the show, but I figure if I start it first, then you can't. So it's always no, you love me.
Be nice. Be nice. That's for everybody, not just you.
No. Yeah, but I love you. That's why I do it.
That's fine, but be nice. As I'm Googling.
Okay. Well, yeah. As always, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure, as always, to hit the socials QR code now showing in the top left corner. Remember to like, share, subscribe. If you know at least one person would enjoy this podcast, please send them a link to our YouTube channel as we grow this community. And we are on our march to 1,000 subscribers. And if you need merch from WWE Shop, make sure to use our promo code in the top corner there. I mean, dude, look at this Wyatt 6 Let Us In t-shirt. You can get that through our WWE affiliate link. Help us to reinvest not only in this podcast, but in independent wrestling as a whole. This is how we are able to sponsor shows. All the things you've seen us do with Action Wrestling and Landon Hale and ETU, Wrestlers Lab, Wrestle Rave, Full Queer, Pride Style, everybody that we have worked with, this is how we are able to help do this, is through our merch store and now through our WWE Shop link. So help us on our mission to help improve independent wrestling, professional wrestling as a whole. We will be back tomorrow night with our Wind Down Wednesday episode. We're going to talk NXT. Going to talk a little Dynamite this Thursday.
Still gets my vote. That Raw gets my vote. That was the one with Punk, Rollins, and Drew with the promo. That was the JD Ricochet match. That felt like a takeover match.
Okay. All right.
That Raw still gets my vote.
Okay. That's
but
fair.
We'll have that on the year end, half year end, quarter year end, wherever we are, awards.
No, it'll just be year end. We just have a lot of work ahead of us.
Our mug. I didn't listen to anything you said. Hey, love you guys. Be nice.
Support our merch store as always as well. We'll be back tomorrow night, Wind Down Wednesday, and Thursday. Friend of the show, Adam Bolt, returns. If you've not seen our interview with Adam from the UK, that is in our YouTube archives as well. But yeah, I think that's all the plugs.
And the podcast Dad will be on Wrestling Spotlight.
You will be on Wrestling Spotlight this Thursday. That has been confirmed. Always good to visit our old pal, Gerald Bentley. Make sure also to check out Wrestling Junkies content on Wrestling Spotlight channel on the Local Now app. Anything else?
No, I think we're good. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, good to see you as always, buddy. Bring your wine tomorrow night, and we'll talk to you guys soon.